Hey, this week's live question is a really interesting question about what makes counseling effective. The writer says, I was wondering if certain personality types in the counselor make them more effective with certain counselees or even certain counseling struggles. Say, for instance, is an extroverted counselor more effective with extroverted counselees? Or does somebody who is high in compassion, are they more effective in suffering cases, while somebody who's more straightforward in in the way that they respond to people, are they more effective with sin cases? They say it seems like this would be the case, but I wasn't sure and would appreciate your thoughts on the subject. And I think what's being recognized in this question is that relationships impact counseling a lot. Because counseling is more than giving truth, giving instruction, giving directives. There is this impact of relationship where how much the counselee feels understood and known by their counselor is going to impact how much they receive what is being said to them. And so the question becomes, how do we think about that? And as we do, I just want to, maybe note the obvious that there are other variables besides just the relationship of counselor and counselee in play. There's the health of relationships the counselee has outside of counseling, the available resources to meet the needs in their life, the counselee's commitment level to change, and the longevity with which they faced a struggle. But recognizing those things as well, we still want to ask the question, how is it that the relationship between counselor and counselee impact the effectiveness of counseling? One of the ways that's been helpful for me to think about that is even considering the way that I watch the kids that I coach in Little League Baseball develop as hitters. There is a progression that they take that I think somewhat mirrors the growth of a counselor in this area. So if you'll indulge me with the baseball illustration, when I first start coaching kids, they can hit the ball that is there for their natural swing. So if they have a low and loopy swing, then they're going to hit the low ball well. If their shoulder naturally flies out, they're going to hit the inside pitch. If they kind of long arm their swing, they're going to hit the outside pitch better. So when I'm coaching and coach pitch, I pitch to their swing so that they begin to feel success and they feel confident at the plate. Now you work with those hitters for a little while, and they move from the point where they hit the ball based on their natural swing to where they can hit the ball where it's pitched. And so in that case, they take the ball that's outside, and the most natural swing to that is they can hit it to right field if they're a right-handed hitter. Or if it's inside, they're going to pull that ball. If it's low, they're going to drive it. They begin to be able to hit the ball where it's pitched. But then you reach another level in hitting, and that's where you can hit where the situation dictates. Now, for those of you who aren't baseball people, this is probably where I'm going slightly over the top. But what that means is a hitter can come to the plate. There'll be a runner on second and less than 2 outs, and they know they need to hit the ball between second and first base, and they can adjust their swing so that even if it's an inside pitch, they can lead with their hands and drag the bat to force the ball to go that way. I think there is a similar progression that goes on in the life of a counselor. Initially, a counselor may be most effective with the natural fit cases. And so again, we might even ask the question, are there natural fit cases? I think that's somewhat what's being alluded to in 1 Thessalonians 5:14, where Paul says, admonish the unruly, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all. There's a certain disposition that is needed with particular struggles. And so there's a reason why addiction counselors tend to be more gruff and straightforward than a grief counselor who tends to be very compassionate. Well, you are to admonish the unruly, and somebody who is giving themselves in the lies and self-destructiveness of addiction, they would be unruly and they would need that more direct admonishing tone. Somebody who is overwhelmed by grief, they are more faint-hearted. They need someone to come alongside of them. And so whatever your natural bent is as a counselor, and we all have those as people, initially we may tend to be most effective with those cases that naturally fit our disposition. Now, with time, as a counselor gets more experienced, they're able to counsel a case where it emotes. And so, even if this is somebody who's a bit more straightforward in the way that they approach things, somebody comes in who's suffering, and they can tap into that compassionate side and begin to counsel them, maybe not out of what is their predominant personality, but to do that in a way that cares for them very well. And then I think as counselors gain even further, they're able to counsel as the situation dictates. And so it may be that somebody comes in and they're in a addictive situation, but their tone is very despondent because their spouse left and their kids went and their house is in foreclosure and they're in a really destitute place, and they are coming in that tone of desperation. But there are some key decisions that they need to make at this period of time, and the counselor can pick up on the fact that even though the emotions may be going one way, here is where I need to counsel them as the situation dictates, not necessarily according to my natural bent, not necessarily in the direction that their emotions are leading, but I can look at this situation and make a confident assessment in what needs to be done. So again, this is a very fascinating question. I hope my baseball illustration does a little bit maybe to further the discussion on that, and then it's helpful for those of you that are listening. Thank you so much.